One two 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 one two. So my name is Sean Bolden, Sean Biggs. In case you didn't know, welcome, welcome, welcome Facebook, welcome Instagram, and welcome YouTube. And yes, we are live on all three forms. So tonight is going to be about one thing and one thing only. Is this industry only about money and power? I see y'all on live. I might not be able to get everybody, but I see Gooch, I see LaMonica, I see Best Family, I see Chef, I see Khalees. What's going on, y'all? I sent the link in case you want to join me on StreamYard. You can come backstage, but I am about to start this. It is Straight Talk leads to Straight Understanding, y'all. My name is Sean Bolden, Sean B. Tonight we will be talking from the remote location. We have the setup here, and we will be talking Straight Talk leads to Straight Understanding. I'm here in New York City right now. It is 9:08. Oh, I'm sorry, 9:03, and we about to get it started. I got my man Mike Spive on the boards. So here we go. Go ahead, Mike. Show them what you got. So here it is. This industry, y'all. I'm not talking just the music industry, even though I'm a veteran in the music industry and I've had some years in it, in and out, of course. But the industry, is it only about the money and the power? That's what I want to know. Tell me right now if you are familiar with the industry. And it all comes from this clip that I'm going to show y'all tonight. One of my people called me and he said, "Yo, you ever heard of Demond Wilson?" I said, yeah. In case y'all don't know, Demond Wilson, the son on Sanford and Son, Lamont was his name, his character's name, Lamont Sanford. And yes, he just gave a nice interview. A partner of mine came and said, "Yo, this guy, Demond, he got a lot of your same perspectives." And I was like, "Word?" He was like, "Yeah, he got a lot of your same perspectives." He said, "You should check out the interview." Big up to my man, Monica, who sent that over to me. And, you know, it's something that we're going to talk about. Tonight's episode is about the industry. Is it just about power and money? So with that being said, let's get ready to get started, y'all. I guess I'm going to start out with the clip. All right? Get this clip. And y'all tell me what your thoughts are about it, all right? We're going to start with this, y'all. About him speaking about Norman Lear. All right? So here we go.
Our audience is going to be mad if I don't. Do you think did Norman take some of those ideas, particularly from Eric Monti?
Of course he did.
Yeah.
You think that brother is just making that up? And the late Michael Evans, if played the first Michael on the Jeffersons, he beat him out of Good Times.
Did you find out about these things while you were working with him, that he was, moving a certain way?
I never worked with Norman.
Oh, that's right.
He was teamed up with Bud Yorkin, who was executive producer.
Broke up.
Random Productions. Norman came around a few times. I liked his first wife, Frances, who's deceased now. She was very honest. She said Norman should be ashamed of himself. He's cut everybody out of everything and make people think he was the only one doing anything. And he had about as much to do with Sanford and Son as my grandmother, who transitioned in 1969. Other than the fact that because when he parted ways with Yorkin, we never saw him again. And then Jerry Parenchio took the helm. Jerry Parenchio was the guy that went to Jack Kent Cooke and got a few $1 million to promote the first Ali Frazier fight at Madison Square Garden. Jerry Parenchio owned or still owns Telemundo. And then Alan Horn took the helm. Alan Horn became the CEO of Metro Goldwyn Mayer Studio. These were heavy hitters. These were guys that I went in there and said, "Hey, if you don't pay me, I ain't coming back here." And they said, "We'll see about that with your little cocky self." That's when I went to Vegas. You always got to have a plan B, brother. Always. My father said it's a poor rat that only got one hole to crawl in.
Inspiration to tonight's topic. Is this industry only about power and money? Is this industry only about power and money? So as he just described, a lot of people in this industry were simply about the money. You know, me being in the industry, I always felt like the money was one element. When I got into the industry, ironically enough, I didn't get in for the money. Man, I don't know whether I was stupid. I don't know what it was, but I didn't get in for the money. As a matter of fact, I got in the industry just to get out of East New York. It was a blessing that happened. And then when I started finding out that it was driven by the money, the politics, the power, the fame, the stabbing in the back, the hypocrisy, and all of these things that came into play, it really started becoming not so much of a fun place anymore. And I was just in the music industry, which is, for the record, the least amount of money being made in all of entertainment. That goes with sports, that goes with television, that goes with film. I used to give the example, the music industry is the flea that's sitting on top of the monkey that's sitting on top of the elephant. And I ain't even think about the elephant that's sitting on top of the world. The world being sports entertainment, which probably makes the most money. Then the elephant being film industry, which makes the second most money. Then the monkey being television, which makes about the third amount of money. And then we have the little old music industry, which is the flea. That little flea that's sitting on top of the monkey. Now, the reason why that is such a great description is because if you think about it, that flea and that little bit of money is on top of the monkey, which is kind of much bigger than the flea, but not as big as that elephant that is sitting on top of him. And that elephant is much bigger than that monkey, but not as big as the world that he's standing in. And the world being that sports entertainment. Ooh, the money that they get there. Just think, if you could pay one player, just think about it, one player $100 million, how much do you think it takes for the whole organization, the NBA, for example, to operate? Whew. Y'all calculate that. While y'all calculating that, I want you to also think about a movie. If you can pay one actor in the movie, $20 million, $30 million, $100 million, one actor. Y'all know, man, how many actors, how many people it takes to do a whole production? The cast alone can be in the hundreds. We're not talking about gaffers. We're not talking about production. We're not talking about screenwriters. We're not talking about anyone else. We're just talking about the actors. 100 people. One of those is getting $30 million to work for about 2 months. Think about that, y'all. $30 million to work for about 2 months. NBA players getting $100 million to work for some years, but they only work X amount of months per day. Not taking anything away from anybody. But the point is, if they are making that as a player, imagine how much it costs to have the whole operation going. So, just to go back to that little flea and how it calculates, think about, let's say back in the days of Michael Jackson, when he was renowned for selling 10 million copies, which was historical. It's still, it's been unmatched. It's been a record that was unmatched for some time. 10 million copies. If you made $10 on that 10 million, how much is that, ladies and gentlemen? In case y'all don't understand, all you got to do is add a zero. 10 million, add that zero, $100 million. So with 10 million, which was a stretch of being able to reach, 10 million records sold, they only made 100 million. Yet they're giving one player 100 million. That's over the course of years of Thriller being out and all of this. They made 100 million in total. So if you now do all of those calculations, you might understand why that analogy of the flea on top of the monkey, on top of the elephant, on top of the world, if we're talking about this entertainment industry, which we're talking about today, is it all about the money and the power? Now, going back to the clip that I just played, Demond Wilson saying what happened with Norman Lear and how Norman Lear robbed Michael Evans when his idea, which segued into a multi-million-dollar production, I want to say. He took a lot of credit, Norman Lear. No, we ain't slighting Norman Lear's production. We ain't bashing Norman Lear, God rest his soul. He took a lot of credit for being part of Sanford and Son. And Demond just said he had nothing. He never worked with this man, Mr. Lear. He said, as a matter of fact, He had as much to do with Sanford and Son as his past grandmother. The reason why he made that reference about his grandmother who passed away in 69 is because Sanford and Son didn't come out until 71. As a matter of fact, I believe it was 72. It didn't tape until 71, and it didn't end until January of 72. Now, with that being said, we sitting here talking about a man who is worth billions now. Norman Lear, if y'all don't know, do your homework, do your research, renowned in this industry. And he took this poor black man, young man, Michael Evans, idea. As a matter of fact, it was for Good Times, and it was Michael Evans was his actual name, and that's how they segued to have him being Michael Evans on Good Times. Now, Michael Evans, the original writer and person who came up with Good Times, he's the one that Norman Lear robbed him for the idea on Good Times. You know, make a family structured television show with the father in the house, which Esther Rolle, in case y'all don't know, she is the one who emphasized, I am not doing this role if I don't have a husband. Big up to Esther Rolle, y'all. But Esther Rolle who insisted on having a husband in Good Times, which is another historical moment in the history. Mike Quick, he spoke about that all over the net. Yes, he did. That's a comment from Mike Quick. He definitely, Demond Wilson, which I got to give him his props. I didn't know too much about him until this interview, other than him playing on Sanford and Son, but I didn't know anything about his back history. Very intriguing story. If you go to Comedy Hype for that interview. With that being said, this man exposed Norman Lear. I'm going to play it again just so that y'all can see it again. And here it is, Mr. Demond Wilson speaking about Norman Lear and what he did in the industry, because we're talking about this industry and is it all about the money and the power. So here it is.
From Eric Monti.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
You think that brother is just making that up? And the late Michael Evans, if played the first Michael on the Jeffersons.
That's who it was.
He beat him out of Good Times.
Did you find out about these things while you were working with him, that he was, moving a certain way?
I never worked with Norman.
Oh, that's right.
He was teamed up with Bud Yorkin, who was executive producer.
Broke up.
Tandem Productions. Norman came around a few times. I liked his first wife, Frances, who's deceased now. She was very honest. She said Norman should be ashamed of himself. He's cut everybody out of everything and make people think he was the only one doing anything. And he had about as much to do with Sanford and Son as my grandmother, who transitioned in 1969.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard it. I'm gonna stop it there real quickly because that man just dropped a jewel. Now, just for clarity's sake, y'all, what he said is that Michael Evans, who played the original Lionel on the Jeffersons, that's who it was. The late Michael Evans is who he stole the idea for Good Times from. And that is part of why we're talking about this industry. Is it only about the money and the power? He also mentioned something that was pretty interesting about what his wife said. And he said, Norman tried to make as if nobody else had anything to do with it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a classic industry weapon that a lot of people use, from the music industry on down to the entertainment, being television and film and sports. A person with knowledge, or a person who's in a position making you feel like you can't do nothing without them. Industry trick number 3080, record people are shady. Well, I'm doing industry trick 2024. They're shady and much, much more. All right, now, the reason why I say that is because, think about it. This man does what classically a lot of people do in this industry. They make you feel as a talent that you cannot do anything without them. I was having a debate not too long ago, well, a conversation, not a debate, with a good friend of mine. And he was talking about how the executives are much more powerful than the artists. And I said, no, because without an artist, you will not have anything to be an executive over. Lawyers, executives, and others make artists and creatives feel that way. They make them feel like, oh, well, if it ain't for me, you're not going to be able to do this, 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 and this. While there might be some truth in it, because in fairness, they do offer some resources that are valuable to expose that talent to other platforms that talent doesn't naturally get exposure to. So I get it. And me being on both sides of the industry, both being a creative as well as an executive, is the reason why I translate this to many people all the time and why I'm having this conversation. So, but they do make you feel like, for example, a lawyer makes their clients feel like, oh my gosh, if it ain't for me reading for you and translating for you, you wouldn't be in the position you are, that I'm saving your career. I'm the lone savior. And while there's some critical truth to a little bit of that, artists, creatives, don't forget, you hired the lawyer. Again, let me say that again. You hired the lawyer. So that means that you are paying this man to do a service for you, or woman to do a service for you. It's not about them being able to do more. The way that I used to say it, y'all, is that's like telling a lawyer, let's say in the music industry, that in order for you to represent me, you need to know how to spit verses, or you need to know how to sing. They can't sing. They can't spit verses. Maybe they could. I'm not, discrediting the multi-talented lawyers, but a lot of them can't sing, can't spit verses. So why is it the 10 years or 8 years that they devoted into their passion being reading and learning how to put contracts, read contracts, and negotiate? You don't even really got to do much negotiation if you think about it. You just got to be well versed and be able to give suggestions, because really the negotiation is going to be limited on the person who hired the lawyer. He can only give you suggestions of what he think you should do. He cannot make you do anything you don't want to do. Now, because he makes you feel inferior, like you're relying heavily on his tutelage or his guidance, which sometimes you are, but because he makes you feel that way, just to posture and feel, this is where we go into the power. This is where we go into the power. It's a power struggle right there, because he wants you to feel like he's in power, that without him, you're a fool. You don't know what to do. And he makes you feel inadequate. Whereas without you, you wouldn't even be having a conversation. Without your talent, he wouldn't have anything to have a conversation with you about. But he never exposes that, because it's a power struggle. It's a pissing match. It's a mental mind game. It's a chess game, as a lot of people refer to it in the industry. This is chess, not checkers. Man, this is industry bull crap. That's what it is. Chess, checkers, it's a game. Both of those things. And what you're advocating at that point is it's a game and you're playing. And again, the reason why Demond was referred to me, because he seemed like he didn't play much games. He was just like, yo, it is what it is. Basically was like, yo, I ain't with this Hollywood stuff, which I wholeheartedly can agree to, because one thing I can't be part of, or I wasn't ever part of, any cliques of Hollywood and industry stuff. And not that I'm, proud of it, because I can make a lot of money because of that choice. But the point being is that, is this money about money? Is this industry about money and power? In my humble opinion, I'll say it again, my humble opinion, abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. I'm trying to continue to be a Christian man, so I'm just going to say abso-freaking-lutely. Yes, it's about money, and yes, it's about power. And those two things are so intoxicating. Money and power both are intoxicating. If you're not prepared, it will easily take over your spirit, take over your mind, take over your movements, take over everything. How some people say they compromise money. This is kind of what segues into me wanting to have this conversation as well. Last night we were speaking about Monique and Cat Williams and Steve Harvey specifically. And there was different sides of the scenario. We're gonna at some point show clips of that.
Labeled as difficult. Yes, we got labeled as difficult because I said one word, and that was no. Y'all knew. I was not wrong. Each one of you said to me, Monique, you're not wrong. And when I heard you go on the air and you said, my sister done burnt too many bridges, and there's nothing I can do for her now.
When you tell the truth, you have to deal with the repercussions of the truth. We black out here. We can't come out here and do it any kind of way we want to. This the money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game.
Before the money game, it's called the integrity game.
Before the money game, it's called the integrity game. Before the money game, it's called the integrity game.
And we've lost the integrity worrying about the money.
But Mo,
and wait a minute.
If I crumble, my children crumble, my grandchildren crumble. I cannot, for the sake of my integrity.
About 10 million. 10 million? For 4 million, I'll be all the motherfucking monkey you can stand. Black people will be so embarrassed.
Speaking about Monique and Steve Harvey last night, it was Mike, Stacy, Carla, and myself. All right. And while we had this conversation, many people, shared their opinions on why Kat and Monique did what they did and why Steve did what he did. And it was kind of split. Some people sided with Steve and his actions. Some people sided with Monique and Kat and their actions. But my point is, I'm siding with Kat and Monique. By the way, everybody pause. Stop. Like the video, please. Like the video. I need you to subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. Y'all can do that for me. I just need that support. So the algorithms, these new foreign words that came up in the last 10 years, algorithms, so the algorithms can start populating properly. So if you can stop, again, hit the like button, subscribe button, and comment however you like. All right. So anyway, as I was saying, talking about the industry and is it only about money and power? And what would you do for that money and power? What would you do for that money and power? I'm curious to know. All right. So what would you do for that money and power? That's what we're talking about right now. Thank you for this mic right here, this setup for the podcast, the Straight Talk Leads to Straight Understanding, which is happening every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And today's subject is the industry. Is it only about money and power? All right. Now that we have gotten the title, let's go back into the conversation. So I was talking about, and I'm just going to relax here. So how this industry trying to keep, as Mike said, your butt a virgin is a difficult thing. Mike is, he's quoting Cat Williams, who said, I just wanted to keep my booty hole. I just want to keep my booty hole a virgin. Yes, the words of Mr. Cat Williams. And boy, oh boy, it's very important how Demond Wilson, and that's who I was speaking about today, and he had so many profound things to share in reference to the industry in itself. He spoke about not wanting to be in this Hollywood scene, and there were so many other things that he spoke about. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen,
came to New York, and he cast me in my first major motion picture of the organization with Sidney Poitier. And that's why when I first came to California, we shot it in San Francisco, and people saw the dailies and they liked my work. And so I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to move out there because I'm getting a lot of offers and I don't want to be doing this bi-coastal thing. So I moved to California and I did Mission Impossible and a couple of TV spots, and then All in the Family. And then I got a phone call from Bud Yorkin, and he asked me if I wanted to do a series with Red Fox. So I've never been a part of any of that nonsense. I don't respect those people. I don't care about that. I'm I told you I had connections. I would nobody.
Big up to Comedy Hype, where this interview is coming from. And here we go, Mr. Demond Wilson. Is this industry about money and power?
Hollywood, I've never had anything to do with any kind of clique. I'm not a cliquish person.
Right.
I assume followers. When I grew up, I had the kids followed me. They followed my dress style. They followed the coolness, the way I walked. When I was in the war, I was a leader. I ain't never followed nobody. So these cliques, I could tell you things about people you named that the little Fruit Loops. They bend over billies. You cannot make it to the top in that industry without selling your soul.
Selling your soul. selling your soul.
The reason why I laid it up in that fashion is because it seems very cliquish Hollywood from the outside looking in. Is that something that happened in your industry? Like, were you ever, respectfully, I'm asking you as...
Again, here you go. My industry. It's not my industry. I'm going to tell you. I came to California. I did a film in Canada called The Dealing of the Berkeley to Boston 40 Brick Bag Lost Blues. I went back to Broadway and I was at the Public Theater. Al Pacino was down there. The late Ron O'Neal was down there. You had a lot of actors that became famous that were down there working for Joe Papp in the Village. That theater, it's renowned. And Walter Mirisch from Mirisch Studio, from the Mirisch brothers, came to New York, and he cast me in my first major motion picture, The Organization, with Sidney Poitier. And that's why when I first came to California, we shot it in San Francisco, and people saw the dailies and they liked my work. And so I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to move out there because I'm getting a lot of offers and I don't want to be doing this bi-coastal thing. So I moved to California and I did Mission Impossible and a couple of TV spots, and then All in the Family. And then I got a phone call from Bud Yorkin, and he asked me if I wanted to do a series with Red Fox. So I've never been a part of any of that nonsense.
We don't hear most people talk about in this industry. Bend Over Billy. And he was talking about this in the 70s, y'all. What is going on right now? What are we talking about? Are we talking about Bend Over Billies? Or are we talking about other things? What is going on in this industry? Music, television, film, sports. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Bend Over Billy. Demond Wilson, he has coined this phrase, and now you're going to hear people talking about it. So, yo, if it was going on back then, you heard some of the names that he was mentioning. You heard some of the people that he spoke about. He spoke about Ron O'Neal, which is the late, great Superfly. He spoke about Al Pacino. He worked with all of these people. He spoke about the infamous Red Fox. No, he did not call any of these men Bend Over Billies. I don't want it to get conflated. No, he did not. But he did say there were plenty of people who were Bend Over Billies. Bend Over Billy is just hilarious. I got Mike Quick over there talking about Puffy know all about that. Well, I'm not saying anything. I'm not implying anything, but Bend Over Billy, Puffy, if that belongs, if the shoe fits, wear it. We won't say what else might have fit because that might be too exciting for Bend Over Billy if he is that. But anyway, like I was saying, he was talking about Bend Over Billy. So think about this, and this is some of the rumors that go on in the industry and why I talk about power and why I talk about why it's so intoxicating. Because sometimes those Bend Over Billies were simply because they wanted an opportunity and they was compromising that, doing whatever it took to get this money or to get this fame. Get this money or to get this fame. And they became Bend Over Billies. They might not have been Bend Over Billy. Maybe they was just Billy when they came to Hollywood. But all of a sudden, they got to Hollywood and Bend Over was added to their name. Oh, my God. So, with that being said, what is going on in this industry right now? And is it all about the power and the money? What would you do? What people do for money? Y'all know the song. What actors do, what rappers do, what sports people do for money. But it ain't even just the entertainers. What executives, what owners, what rich people do for money. Yo, this is the problem. We are having this go on in our industry for such a long time, y'all. Hey, I see all reactions. I see my mom's is in the building. Hold on 1 second. We got to see all these reactions because I see my mother. Her name is up here on Facebook. So, Mama, thank you for joining me. And we are talking about this industry. Is it all about the money and the power? And we just saw Demond Wilson. I'm going to play a little bit more, Ma, so you can see it. And he was talking about Bend Over Billies in this industry. And he was talking about in the 70s, Ma. Sanford and Son, Demond Wilson, by the way, if y'all don't know, is Lamont Sanford from Sanford and Son. And yes, he was talking about Bend Over Billy. So we're going to just rewind that a little just so for the entertainment factor of it all. And for my mother who just joined us, hey, Ma, I love you. Thank you for all your guidance. Thank you for all your guidance. But we're about to hear Bend Over Billy by Demond Wilson. That's the money and the power of the industry. We talking about Bend Over Billy.
So these cliques, I could tell you things about people you named that the little Fruit Loops. They bend over Billies. You cannot make it to the top in that industry without selling your soul.
I just want to thank you guys for joining. But if you got nothing out of this podcast, nothing at all as far as power, industry, money, etc., you got one thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Bend Over Billy by Demond Wilson. Wow, that is classic. That is classic. He was talking about Bend Over Billy from 1970. And we are now in 2024. And we have Bend Over Billies. We have Bend Over Jillies. With that being said, don't be a Bend Over Billy in this industry. Don't get intoxicated by the power and the fame.
And let me say this, for the record, when I'm making just a Bend Over Billy, I'm not talking about brothers and sisters who are openly homosexual and enjoying their lifestyle. To each his own. I'm speaking specifically of those who compromise in their sexuality. The same way Steve Harvey was talking about compromising his integrity early on in the clip. So when I'm saying Bend Over Billy, I'm talking about those who came out here as Billy and for the fame, for the power, for the money, chose Bend Over. All right. So enjoy, have a great evening. This is Sean Bolden, Sean B. Straight talk leads to straight understanding. Join me soon. Share, like, comment. And I hope ain't nobody take no offense to anything I said, because no offense was intended. Nothing but love. But we do need to be more aware of those who are intoxicated by fame, money, fortune, and doing things to compromise their integrity, their sexuality, their spirit, or whatever it is. But to each his own. If money is more important to you for that, do your thing. I just ain't the one to do it. All right, with that being said, I'm out. Peace, love.